The outcome later became a center of debate in the House even before the final report is drafted and tabled officially. House Speaker Rebecca Kadaga labored to stop members from discussing the matter after Dokolo District Woman MP Cecilia Atim Ogwal expressed shock that the media had already published the secrets. Now, this debate drew in the leader of the opposition, Nathan Nandala Mafari, a member of the committee, who accused the NRM members of talking to the media and also announced that the opposition would stay out of parliament for 3 days in protest. Now, before we begin this discussion, let's listen to what transpired in Parliament as members of Parliament reflected on what transpired in the Appointments Committee.
I have been shocked, Madam Speaker, to hear through the media if Parliament has finally agreed that a military be appointed to serve on the cabinet. Madam Speaker, before we clap to congratulate General Aronda, I think we should be mindful of the spirit behind the 1995 Constitution. I'm concerned about the spirit. I'm not a lawyer.
Honorable
Right,
Gwal.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Gwal, I think you are preempting the report of the Appointments Committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker. That's why I'm standing as a senior, as an elder in the House. So,
If an elder have to the rules.
when an elder hears that there is a wild animal coming, you have to alert the family. So I rise to...
Honour members, please do not preempt the report of the committee. To come here and you'll be given the reasons and the rationale for whatever decision was taken. Honour members, can you please sit down?
Guidance, Madam Speaker.
Can you take your seat, Honourable Chams?
Guidance, Madam Speaker.
Take your seats.
Guidance.
Take your seats. Honour members, let's go to item 3 of the order paper. Honour members, that item is not on the agenda, please. The matter is not on the order paper. No, you are not going to preempt the report of the Appointments Committee and it will come to this House. We shall bring it when we are ready for it. Yes. No, honour members, you are not going to smuggle items on the order paper. No. Honour members.
That our colleagues in the NRM are jubilating that they have won, and yet these things were secret. We wanted more interpretation to take place on this matter. That's why it has taken long, and we believed that some of these things needed more an interpretation. I got to Honorable David Ochoa, very excited, telling the press how they have beaten opposition on this. We want to thank one member of Parliament from NRM who said we need more interpretation.
Honourable members, without going into details, we deliberated at length over several hours and realized that there were a number of lacunas in the Constitution. And we also agreed that there are areas that need to be interpreted. I don't want to go into other details, but there are lacunas in the Constitution. For those who went to the press, let us watch the tapes tonight. Whoever was on the radio, on television, should be brought to the disciplinary committee. I think I'm the only one who has not talked to the press.
Madam Speaker, since this has been now talked about, we in the opposition were not going to be part of these proceedings this afternoon, and we're also going to address the press about what took place because our colleagues have already addressed. And this constitution of ours, which we believe in, which we saw in, we are not willing to be a party for breaking it. And in that regard, we in opposition were moving out of the chambers. So you can debate whatever you want, but we're also going to address the press on this issue of constitutional matter.
Well, proceedings of what happened in Parliament after the Appointments Committee made a decision. It was supposed to be secret, but some legislators spoke to the press, breaking some House rules. Speaker Kadaga says she will discipline them. Well, our guests on Spectrum tonight, Honorable Fred Mukasambide, Ugandan representative at the East African Legislative Assembly, also a legal advisor for the Democratic Party. You're most welcome, Honorable Mbide.
Thank you, my brother. I greet all of you listening.
We expect to be joined by Honorable Simon Mulongo, Member of Parliament for Bubulo East. He comes from the NRM party. He's also an expert on military and defense matters. We expect him to join us shortly. Honorable Mbide, why was Aronda Nyakairima's appointment approved?
That is a $1 million question. I am a lawyer. I am a member of Parliament. I have been in politics for quite some time, at least as a youth activist. I am also one of those persons that have really made sure that we abreast ourselves on treaty law and all substantive provisions of treaties, laws, and particularly the laws of Uganda. There is no justification whatsoever that can be given under the sun And I can tell you that the Constitution is express on Aronda's matter. It is not ambiguous, as several leaders have alleged. The laws of Uganda are extremely express on matters to do with serving military officers, on matters to do with politics and governance in the country. We also know that the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda envisages civilian authority, and therefore civilian authority excludes serving army officers. That is why even a candidate can only nominate for presidential elections when that candidate has resigned from the army, even when such a candidate is going to be the commander-in-chief. So Article 269, as it then was, once it was repealed, that had established the movement
Proscribed the political party.
Yes. Then we now adopted what we call multi-party political dispensation as a political system in Uganda. So it then envisages that no service can be established under any management in Uganda as a political authority that is not partisan. So no army man can serve under the sun while in acting capacity as an army man on an executive that is predominantly presumed partisan. And of course, these are express matters. Even the Political Parties and Organizations Act, particularly Section 16, it excludes serving army officers meddling into activities of political organizations. And one of the activities of the political organization, especially that which has been successful under presidential elections, is to form government. Now, that military officer is excluded. In fact, the Electoral Commission, and I'm even waiting, they are supposed now to write to government, write to NRM as a party, telling them of what a problem they have created, for purposes that if they do not respond for compliance purposes, they must now be taken to court for deregistering of NRM as a party. That is one of the processes.
NRM can now not work as a party because one soldier joined them.
It has violated. So the compliance requirements under the Political Parties and Organizations Act have been infringed upon. So it should be deregistered. That is one of them. I can assure you that all laws, including the UPDF Act, Section 99 thereof, it presumes that whoever seeks to obtain political office must first resign from the army. Now, what the Attorney General said was that this one is not seeking, he has not applied. Now, if you have not applied, what does Article 71 F of the Constitution say? No person shall be compelled to join a particular party by virtue of belonging to an interest group. So that means then that appointment is a nullity. If you do not seek to take up such appointment, thereby not qualifying for resignation under Section 99 of the UPDF Act, that is now forced labor, which is an outlaw. It is forced involvement and inclusion in a political party, merely because you belong to an interest group, which is still an outlaw. So what has taken place in Uganda is not even a mere violation of the Constitution. It amounts to an announcement of a legal notice of some sort, thereby having suspended the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. So we think what has taken place is something that is absolutely challengeable. I first of all praise the opposition and especially led by the Right Honorable Nandalama Fabi for what they have done. This is not a matter for which anyone can sit before Parliament and continue to legislate when such has been occasioned.
Right. I mean, let's look at, of course, the Attorney General has his own arguments. We'll look at them later. But first of all, can you give us the strength of the specific clauses in the Constitution? And you read them out for us, paraphrase them for us. And then the article, the UPDF Act, Section 99 specifically.
What you can first of all look at as an article of the Constitution,
yes,
is majorly Article 208. Now, Article 208 is an extremely express and meaningful article.
Yes.
It gives a description of what Uganda People's Defense Forces must be. And Uganda People's Defense Forces, of course, envisages members thereof. It must be non-partisan.
Non-partisan, yes.
Now, a government established by a successful candidate in a presidential election is that government that pursues the manifesto of that government. Now, the arrangement of politics in Uganda is to the extent that it is bipartisan. We have got the opposition
And the NRM.
and
There's
the
no
NRM.
other party.
There is no other. Now, many people have first of all said that one must be qualified to be member of parliament. If you are to be appointed minister, by the way, even under that Article 113 that they usually claim,
Yes.
the qualifications include either you must be a member of parliament, number one. Two, you must be qualified, a person qualified to be a member of parliament. Now, General Aronda Nyakairima, as an active member of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, is not qualified to be member of parliament. That is it. Now, he is only a member of parliament under the Article 178.
As a UPDF rep.
Yes, and that article has
Okay.
it has got an act.
I'll cut you short there briefly. If Aronda wanted to be MP to stand in a constituency, would the EC give him a certificate now without resigning from?
They would not. So that is what now tells
It's a
you
contradiction.
that he is not qualified. The same way.
It's dribble politics. But
Yes. So you see, UPDF, General Aronda does not find himself in parliament merely because the constitution provides for that special status, but it is because he has also been established as a soldier under the UPDF Act. Now that is the enabling law
and
that
in
makes
parliament,
him one.
they stay silent. I think.
The same way,
They're not supposed to vote.
he cannot. Now the same way, Honorable Nadala Mafal cannot be appointed, because there is an enabling law that provides for his existence in parliament, which excludes him. Even when he is a member of parliament, he is excluded from those capable of being appointed minister. The same way other honorable members of parliament under opposition political parties cannot be appointed. So what the president needs to do
Yes.
is first of all to desist.
Well, but I mean, there's that other argument that he did not contest for the office. There's an argument you brought up earlier. Article, one of the political parties organization, Section 16, I think. You know, you cannot be conscripted by belonging to an organization to join politics. So the argument that he did not contest does not hold. That's what you're saying.
What the law looks at, what is the result? What are the terms of reference for a minister? A minister includes everything, including representing the president anywhere. A minister is envisaged as a servant under civilian authority. Now, civilian authority excludes an army officer. So, this General Aronda has been appointed under extremely anomalous circumstances. It is not clear which government is going to serve, and even government is not aware of the person it has appointed. And of course, obviously, that creates a problem.
Well, what is likely to happen now? Of course, we'll try to understand a little bit more of these intricacies. What is likely to happen?
We are going to extremely experience challenges. Some are going to be politically oriented. Others are going to be for purposes of legal redress. But the object, what was the mischief? Because when you are now doing canons of legal interpretation include what was intended when a provision was established. What was the mischief intended to cure? And I think that is what Honorable Cecilia was also trying to talk about. That by providing for an exclusion of serving army officers, meddling into divisive politics and partisan politics, what was the mischief intended? Now, how
The army can stay as one.
Yes.
Cecilia Gua referred to it, the spirit of the 1995 Constitution.
Yes. So how many
In the past,
soldiers?
our problems have come from a divided army.
Yes.
And armies.
And today, the president is now creating a divided army. How many soldiers now on Ukatebe would have wished to be appointed ministers? Because now the law according to what they are establishing, enables them to be appointed as such. Now, once all of them,
this is Article 99 of the Constitution. Political officer, a serving officer or militant who desires to seek political office shall first resign or retire from the defense forces according to regulations made by the minister.
yes,
The argument is that he did not seek for political office.
he obtained the political office, and I have told you that he could not have been conscripted into political office because Article 71.
He kept saying his matters with the president. He didn't want to put his mind to it.
I am sure he does not have, because now when you look at 75F, no person shall be compelled. Now that means he was not compelled. If he was, then his appointment is unlawful to that extent.
If he was compelled. But he kept saying the president, talk to the president.
So that is where the problem lies.
And they kept talking to the president.
So the president is liable. And I think we are now not sure how many soldiers now will even demand to be appointed ministers.
What's wrong with that? You could have,
or else,
all the cabinet positions, you could have soldiers running them, especially since they have discipline in the army.
Yes, and
why not have that? A former president used to have that scenario, ministers as soldiers in army uniform at the table.
And it matters a lot. And it matters a lot how many you are allowed to appoint and how many will be discontented, for purposes that how many will also entertain coups. We have had.
Why do you talk of coups? Arunda is the only person who has spoken about a coup.
And others have not talked.
What do you mean now?
So what are they saying? Because those that have not said anything have something they mean by necessary implication. When you look at the Constitution, and especially the preamble of the Constitution, the preamble is not devoid of war. They are saying we have been ravaged by war. And this country, the performance of the army has been a protagonist in terms of creation of history in Uganda. And if somebody tells you to write the history of coups in Uganda, you may even fail to start because coups are the real history of Uganda. Now, once the cause has been established, and we only provided a listening post as UPDF 10 membership in parliament, and you are now disorganizing, destabilizing the listening post for purposes unknown, but best known to you, the appointing authority, then obviously we are creating anarchy.
Maybe all those 10 listening posts should be given cabinet positions. Maybe that's going to be a better thing for this country. It's a suggestion some people have been throwing around in the corridor.
And of course, even if they are not given, they will demand.
You think the 10 MPs in the army might begin to say, we want to be minister for this or minister for that?
You know, when a musician gets annoyed, that annoyance and anger is reflected in a song that he composes.
What do you mean, song? What songs?
Now, what does an army man do when he is not contented?
He's not a musician.
Yeah, a musician will
sing a song.
Yes, because a musician will use a guitar, but an army man wouldn't. So I think we are now creating a recipe for disaster. And it legislated. It is now almost... now, any disastrous activities by the army will now be caused by the very country, by the very government that is created for purposes of resolving such.
There's something that Rebecca Kadaga said. She's the Speaker of Parliament. She said there were lacunas. The actual word is lacuna in the Constitution. What gaps were these in the Constitution? She kept saying that.
On this matter, there are no gaps.
They spoke to the Law Society, so it's clear they were not sure what they wanted to say. Law Society, Attorney General, this Shadow Attorney General, legal and legislative directors in Parliament.
For purposes...
And she says they only found gaps, so this can be a minister.
For purposes of Aronda's appointment, there are no gaps. The Constitution does not provide for everything. The Constitution provides for principles, and the principles will definitely lead to substantive secondary enactments, and the enactments are expressed. We have just read the UPDF Act.
Let's take a break. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. We're going for a break. We'll be back. The representative from DNRM has failed to show up. He's Honorable Simon Mulongo. Bubulo East MP is an expert on military and defense matters. He had earlier confirmed. Right now we can't find him.
Be the first to record from both the front and back camera at the same time. Be the first to listen to your photos. Be the first to print your albums from your phone directly. Be the first to control your phone by just waving your hand. Be the first to scroll using just your eyes. Be the first to own the Samsung Galaxy S4. Get your Samsung Galaxy S4 from Airtel and enjoy 15 GB data valid over 3 months, 24 months warranty, and ADH cover valid for 24 months. Dial star 175 star 2 hash to activate your bundle. Be the first to own it. Only from Airtel.
Officer, this time I'm going to throw away all my pangas and knives because you said they help in transmitting the banana bacterial wilt disease.
Take heart. If you blend them, you can still use them. The banana bacterial wilt is transmitted by insects such as the stingless bees that visit male birds to feed on sap that oozes out when the banana flower fall as the insects feed. They also bring in the bacteria that enter the banana plant through the wounds left behind when flowers fall. To stop the spread of insects, remove the male birds as soon as the last cluster is formed, whether you have the disease or not. Because removing the male bird using a pruning knife spreads the disease, use a fork stick.
This message is brought to you by National Agriculture Research Organization, NARO, together with National Agricultural Advisory Services, NADS.
One night, one stage. This is the moment. Club Music presents the 2013 Music Video Awards. Uganda's first ever Music Video Awards is going live this September. Do you have the video that will be voted Uganda's best? Then log on to club.co.ug and let's get the Club Music Video Awards started. The Club Music Video Awards, brought to you by
Club. Tastefully different. Not for sale to persons under 18.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Back on Spectrum tonight, General Ronda Nyakarima is approved as a minister before resigning or even retiring from the UPDF, that's the National Army. What next for those opposed to this decision? And what are the likely implications of this decision to Ugandan politics? Our guest tonight, Honorable Fred Mukasambi, the Uganda representative at the East African Parliament, legal advisor for the Democratic Party. We've heard from him quite a bit. We've just been joined by a second guest. He made it in the end, Honorable Simon Mulongo, Bubulo East MP, coming from the NRM Party. He's an expert on military and defense matters. Officially, he's a committee member on the Defense and Internal Affairs and Rules, Discipline and Privileges Committee. You're welcome, Honorable Mulongo.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers. Listeners.
What do you make of the decision to approve Nyakarima even before he retires from the army as the Constitution demands?
Well, that's the responsibility of the Appointments Committee. And I believe the committee must have deemed it that way, because the appointment definitely has had a lot of controversies because lack of clarity in law, lacunas in the constitutional provisions that are not expressed on certain matters, and I think that could have caused the challenge of arriving at a decision quickly. And I'm also aware that the committee did involve other players in the legal fraternity in terms of consultations, including the Law Society and so on. So I believe that having considered a number of views, they could have come to that conclusion.
What's your own view? Was it above board, or do you think there was pressure? Some people think the NRM MPs were intimidated.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I'm aware. I've had discussions with some members of the committee before and asked them about what obtained at a discussion with the president, and they did not paint the picture which was carried in the media, because the president was like, they should consider the law as much as possible, and there were arguments for and against, and the president said, well, why don't you discuss this further? So I don't think that there was any undue influence whatsoever.
Was it a victory of numbers of a reason?
It could have been the tyranny of numbers.
Tyranny of numbers.
That's right.
They could have voted wrongly and we got the numbers.
Well, whether wrong or right, that's the essence of democracy.
One man, one vote.
That's right.
So why was JJ Odonga not approved then? You should come back and complain officially. Or did give him reparations?
Well,
compensation.
I'm not privy to the proceedings of the appointment of the General JJ Odonga, but I'm aware that the issue of resignation from the armed forces was very paramount, and until he did that is when they passed him. Sometimes issues come to light with time. So this time round, I think somebody called a shot and said, hey, just a minute, where is it expressly stated?
The letter of the law.
Yes, that one has to be, has to resign first, expressly. Or whether a person with the stature in terms of status of General Ronda cannot be appointed minister. And as you could see in the media, there was the arguments for and against. And definitely this matter is not a straight yes or a straight no.
What was the spirit? I mean, we have the law, the Constitution can never explain everything, but there must be the spirit. What was the spirit in putting some of these clauses? Is it because of a past? We've never had a peaceful transfer of power.
No, that's another level now. But coming back to the point of the spirit, the Constitution, the only provision in the Constitution about UPDF and politics is to the effect that the UPDF shall be non-partisan. There's no doubt about that. So, but in as far as expressly denying appointment of a specific either general officer or whichever officer from the armed forces, there isn't an express provision.
Okay, so the other 10 MPs, the other 9 MPs, because Arunda is also an MP, they could become ministers tomorrow. There could be a reshuffle at midnight tonight, and they could be ministers, one for this and one for another.
Well, that means that we can even have a cabinet of 30 ministers who are members of the armed forces, or have one or none who are members of the armed forces.
We could even have all. You know, the army is known for discipline. We could have a cabinet with only soldiers.
Well, but of course, one is that
they all show up in their military.
The bank from which the president draws is categoric. It is parliament and outside.
So you can only have maximum of 10 soldiers.
So I think not really. I'm talking of parliament and outside parliament. That's the law.
Yes.
So that means he can draw as many people from parliament and also as many people from outside parliament.
He could also choose from the army, all of them. 78. You know, it's hard to count ministers.
Well,
78 to 80 ministers could also all be soldiers. Some cannot.
All those are scenarios.
Honorable Mukasambide, some people have said they are going to appeal. First of all, the MPs from the opposition said they'll stay away for 3 days from parliament, and some people have said they will appeal. They'll take the matter to courts of law. What are the chances specifically of these courts of law and the implication of the opposition staying out?
Yeah, first of all, where we have reached, I think all options should be explored to make sure we return to constitutional rule.
Return to constitutional rule?
Yes.
You think we've overthrown the constitution?
It is extremely obvious. So when you look at a president who even thinks now ministries...
Some MPs use the kind of language as the committee was bulldozed. Somebody said there was this a parliamentary overthrow. The parameters carried out a coup against the constitution. These are very strong words. Do they have any whiff of truth in them?
Well, you would need a lot of evidence to substantiate where parliament itself is the one that has voted. So you generally cannot tell what has taken over what. Some people told me that, you see, for them they have adopted one major characteristic that keep what is ours to us, whether good or bad. So I think that is those are some of the characteristics adopted by,
you think that's the
some
principle?
of the members. It is becoming a principle.
Milton Obote used to say in the 1980s.
Then others are saying that fear is life. So it is also a principle adopted by some MPs. Fear is life.
It's commonplace.
Yeah, so
it's in here.
If you want to preserve life, please fear.
Fear is life.
Yes. Fear is life.
You preserve your life by acting upon your own fear.
Yes, by adopting fear as a standard.
Where is the fear coming from? This is a free country.
So now that is what they call above. Fear, there is always at the level of a subconscious level of the brains of a member of the NRM.
Yes, the ceiling.
There is a degree of supposition to fall a stern piece of order. Whether you have heard it loudly or whether it has been communicated to you by any other means. So there is that supposition. And some of them obviously have run away from it. They have been liberated.
What do you mean?
Yeah, when you find people that get to microphones and speak a liberated mind.
Here in Parliament?
Everywhere. In Parliament, on radio stations, on TVs, on what. You find that they are liberated people. But there are those that of course are on the way to liberation, and those that have been conscripted into that doctrine. And I think there is going to be a problem. So somebody must act.
What do you mean?
You either walk out.
What kind of problem? Prices rising for sugar? What do you mean?
Uganda is one of the countries that have provided the raw material for a coup.
What do you mean? Why do you use such strong words in this studio?
It is because I am speaking frankly. Because I think I am liberated enough for purposes that I can speak frankly.
Well, Arunda Nyakarima spoke in those now and he walked free, so maybe that's where you draw your strength. And Honorable Simon Mlong, what do you think was in Arunda Nyakarima's heart? He kept saying the president knows the president. He said he did not say he's consulted anybody. He said all the president will determine.
I think before I go to that, my colleague has, my honorable colleague has drawn on issues of intimidation, fear, liberation. I'm a member of the NRM. And I'm quite an outspoken, objective representative. I'm not aware about intimidation he's referring to, because the level to which he's referring to is like, even you can't come here and talk anything. I have been here a couple of times. I've talked for or against even positions which are articulated by some senior leadership.
Most times you are conformist. Most times you speak for the NRM, right deep in the heart, central.
Well, I do.
Right.
I do, because that's my party. But at the same time, where the party I see and deem it
so you're not
going wrong, I say it. So I think I have not been intimidated, and I've gone home and slept well. Nobody has called me to intimidate me. Two, yes, we do, for example, have caucuses, and caucus meetings, people express themselves hoarse. People talk tough, even in the presence of the president.
Some of them are called rebels in the end.
And yes, but a rebel, if you have gone beyond a certain red line. But if you just bring out your constructive arguments, people change, and even change the mindset of the president and other senior leaders in the party. So this intimidation, I'm not aware of it, or unless he has evidence, as he says, since he's a lawyer.
Right.
I don't have it. Then coming to the issue of the general order, this disappointment has been a very big challenge to.
What do you think was in his heart? He doesn't wear a hat like the president, but in his heart of hearts.
How can I think what is in his heart?
Well, he kept saying the president knows. The president knows. A man should
if you ask me what he was talking about, yes, but in his heart.
Well, you can read. Give us. You're an analyst, a military analyst. You look at the army very closely, closer than some of us. Tell us, what do you think was going on in his mind?
I think he was in a catch-22. One is that he must have contemplated the issues of resignation. But how could he resign if the commander-in-chief did not even mention it or point it to be one of his
options? But the commander-in-chief himself retired from
then, secondly, he could have also wanted to remain, but then the committee was challenging him that we cannot pass you until you've resigned. Even that brings in a kind of a dilemma. What I know is that here the issues of the principle and the issues of law were at play. And so General Ronda could have rested his hope on nothing but issues of law and issues of practice where possible. And I think that could have been his major point of reference.
Honorable Mbidi, the same question. What do you think was in this gentleman's heart? He doesn't speak much. He's a reticent.
Yeah, obviously, as a serving army officer, he is not mandated to speak, especially where matters in the equation are political matters. I don't know even how he's going to serve, because he's not allowed to possess political opinions, and we have authorities to this effect. We have a constitutional petition number 1 of 1996, which was appealed against, and of course the Attorney General took the day on appeal at Supreme Court. And in the affidavit, that was Attorney General, that was Major General David Nyefunza, as he then was, versus Attorney General.
Right now he's a general.
Right now he's a general.
He's a tourist in another country, right?
The position of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces then, in his affidavit, was that for you to possess political opinions, you must first resign from the army. Now, the Constitutional Court ruled against that position, but the Supreme Court upheld it. So, meaning that position is supreme. That commander-in-chief is still the commander-in-chief, and I expect him to still be possessed of the same opinion. Now, you do not know how a minister will have no political opinion.
And well, he's only carrying out a manifesto of a certain political party.
Yeah, which is generally a political opinion. You see, we are now in a multi-party political dispensation, which was voted for by the people in a referendum, and we abandoned the movement political system, which was non-partisan. So we are now in a partisan political dispensation until voted against or anyhow. So anybody serving in this politics is
serving for that.
And obviously that was the import of Section 99.
Right. And of course, we've been discarding this word resistance. We started with the NRC, which was Parliament. We threw away the word resistance. Then we went to the army, it used to be the NRA. Now we threw away the word resistance. The only time we see the word resistance is in the political party. Maybe experts will talk about those things. But before we hear from the listeners, what do you think is going to happen to other soldiers who desire to retire? Honorable Mulongo.
First of all, I want to say that
we love soldiers everywhere.
The African democratic development is at the web of transition, and this transition cannot be equated with what you call Western developed democratic practices. We're not yet there, and the role of the military in the politics of most of African democracies is still very pronounced,
including Egypt. We saw it in Egypt.
Yes, and so to think that the military in these developing democracies can be completely apolitical, we're just swimming on the surface. As a strategist and analyst, defense analyst and security analyst, we're yet to be there, and these reforms are continuing in other developing countries, for example in Latin America and Southeast Asia and so on, trying to separate the military as much as possible from
an academic supposition.
Yes, it's an academic supposition, but I'm saying that the separation, the movement is on, the gap is on. Even in Uganda, the gap is on. In the past, military was synonymous with politics, but now we're separating them. And I think even now, if you're talking about military not being partisan and being in politics or talking politics is wrong, what about those who are in the parliament now? What do you call them? Are they partisan? Yes. Are they partisan or not?
They are a listening post.
So whatever you can describe them, the law does not provide for listening.
So maybe we should have more soldiers.
No, the law does not provide for the word listening posts. The law provides for them.
So maybe let's forget about this pretense.
What the law?
Maybe we should have more soldiers.
Just to inform a bit.
Parliament and cabinet. Let's hear from the listeners.
This was
very briefly.
Just briefly. This was an enactment in the Constitution under Article 178, which was even a subject for review after 10 years of its operation on the enactment of the Constitution.
That's right.
That they can, given our history, they should know what is going on,
so they can go back to the barracks and
obviously on adopting a different political dispensation, Parliament ought to have reviewed with a view under Article 178 with a view to remove
all the groups.
Let's hear from the listeners. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight, General Ronda is approved as minister before resigning or even retiring from the army. What next after that has happened? General J.J. Odongo was Minister of State. He was forced to resign to retire from the army. You can call in now. Our number 041-4348-111, 031-226-0390, 031-226-1390. Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
I'm on Spectrum.
Yes, you are live on Spectrum. Your name?
This is David.
Yes, David.
And I'm calling from Kampala. Now, I have not made two comments. First one, there is that gentleman who said that there is no intimidation. Actually, it is. I'll give you an example. For example, when they were lifting the term limit, those people were forced to vote openly. That was another form of intimidation. So I agree with the gentleman from BP that these people in time have to debate themselves from the intimidation. Otherwise, we are going to be doomed. Thank you very much.
Yes, your name?
Hello, everyone.
Yes, sir, your name?
My name is Yusuf Bakuba.
Yes, Yusuf.
Calling from Muyenga.
Yes.
I guess the movement fellows should also give us a break with all this stuff that the general is not acting in active, he won't be participating in active politics. That's just a break. The president from time to time has shifted the goalposts as and when he feels he needs to. So what's going to be different this time? That's my question.
Spectrum, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, your name?
This is Mwanga Gregory.
Yes, Gregory.
So I welcome those honorables. But Edmond, I don't know where we are going. Especially there is a problem in Parliament involving even that committee. I want to tell the honorables that what we expect what we are expecting from the committee, it was not what we have got. Last time on the issue of Nantaba, it was also approved when they first listed. now they have appointed the Nyakairima. But my question is, the honorable, don't you see that now Museveni is going to make President Museveni is going to make more sharper than he introduces to the others?
Spectrum, hello.
Hello?
Yes, your name?
Good evening.
Good evening, your name?
Moses Kaziba.
Yes, Moses.
I would like to know from Mukasambi, Donald Mukasambi, the commander-in-chief is the president, who is political. He commands CDF. He commands all forces. I am asking, why the commanding forces, CDF, command the land force or infantry,
the police,
does this become partisan?
Well, but he retired from the army. Maybe you don't know about
What I'm saying,
yes,
this week the commander-in-chief, when he commands the CDF,
yes,
and all forces, do these forces become partisan?
Spectrum, hello.
Hello?
Yes, your name?
This is Salim Kampala.
Come again?
Salim from Kampala.
Salim, yes.
Yes. I've got a lot of interest in General Ronda and the politics they are doing there.
Yes.
I won't be to help me out.
Yes.
We understand the legal thing that is very well. When it was there, Joe Jong, Parliament refused and Museveni very fast retired him from the army. And also say that no, the army are not supposed to be so please do go out of the army and you serve as the minister. This time around, General Ronda Nyakairima.
Yes. Okay, let's take our final call. Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
Hi, my name is Jackson.
Let's take two more. Yes, your name? Yes, Jackson?
Yes. I'm a bit worried about what is going on actually in our country. Apparently, soldiers are being elected as ministers. So, to me, this brings back what actually General Sojisa was saying. He was of the view that, okay, this Mohozi project is going to take off, and to me, it looks like this is just an excuse for bringing the son into power. I mean, he's a serving soldier, so what is going to stop him from taking on presidency, even though he hasn't yet retired from the army?
Spectrum, hello, our final caller.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
This is David calling from St. Emma.
Yes, David. Chegegwa.
So I want to say that once the president has appointed a minister and is a soldier, I think it is his opinion. No way these people can refuse against such a person, because the president could first say that once it is against the constitutional law, let me not appoint this person.
All right, we heard from you. Let's hear from our experts. Honorable Murongo.
Yeah, first of all, my approach to this is that it is not a point of our wish. It's not just a point of my wish whether I support General Ronda or I like him or I don't like him, or whether we support the president's interest in somebody to become minister or not. The issues here are about issues of law. Is there a law that bars the president to appoint a serving general officer to be a minister? That's the fundamental question. And according to what I've heard from the corridors and other experts, there is no clear-cut answer, other than the provision in the Constitution which declares the UPDF or requires the UPDF to be non-partisan. There is nothing which stops the president from appointing a serving general officer to become, for example, a minister without necessarily retiring.
Regardless of rank, it could be a brigadier.
Yes, it could be even a private.
Brigadier.
So in this case, I think that's where the problem is. Before we castigate the Committee of Parliament, I think they were at a crossroad. Should they not? And that's why it took so long. And I think we should give them a benefit of doubt to explain the circumstances under which they made a decision based on the decision that they can pass him. And what I can also say is that the only way out on this matter is to appeal to a neutral body that can interpret the laws and provide a solution. And this means we have to go perhaps to the Constitutional Court.
Right.
And to me, this is an appellate system is available in this country. Because where one party thinks has better resonance in a matter of law than the other, the only body that can actually adjudicate this matter is a court of law.
Finally, Article 99, a serving officer or militant who desires to seek political office shall first resign or retire from the defense forces according to regulations made by the minister.
Yes.
We need to go to the Constitutional Court to get those clarifications. Honorable Mbite.
Yes. First of all, the Constitution also espouses the principle of non-discrimination when we are applying the law. The law that applies to J.J. Odong should have applied here without discrimination, by the way. The same law has not yet been amended and it continues to hold water. But I think again there must be a broader strategy for purposes that any vetting of any public official or any official intended to take such public office should actually be made publicly. We need, I think, to amend our constitution to establish a fully-fledged chapter on integrity. It is really immaterial that you can secretively claim to be vetting anybody. You know,
what do you mean?
That cannot amount to vetting. If you are vetting somebody, then you must be vetting that person where evidence must be given by those capable of having been wronged by that person. Because at least what is vetting? If I invite Honorable Mulongo here to my room and say I am going to vet him,
yes.
Now, where is the evidence that I have vetted him? After
So you want an open vetting system?
It must be public.
In front of cameras, TV cameras, live on UBC.
Extremely. Where even a simple shop that you owe a debt and you have refused to pay, each time they claim for their money, you pull out a gun. They will come and say, no, it has worked in Kenya. Because we need to establish a national cohesion and integrity act. Yes, so we want these things to be done in public.
Moses Kaziwa asked, do forces become partisan simply by being commanded by a partisan head of state?
The only reason why the president becomes commander-in-chief is because this is civilian authority. The problem is that people are thinking about the president being President Museveni, who is a former soldier.
It could be you tomorrow.
It could even be me. It would have been nobody.
He would still be a chief.
He would still be commander-in-chief.
Obeti Kamia.
Yes, Obeti Kamia. So I would like you to liberate your mind from the mentality of the current leader, who has also served as an army man.
President Olarautu. It could have been. He didn't vote for himself, but he could still have been.
He could still have been president, and
we have to go. Thank you very much, dear guests. Honorable Fred Mukasambi, the Uganda representative at the East African Parliament, also legal advisor for the Democratic Party. Thank you for coming to Spectrum tonight, sir. He's a lawyer, actually. Honorable Simon Mulongo, Bubulo East MP from the NRM, an expert on military and defense matters. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond Chizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English.
Spectrum on Radio 1